The starship Horizon drifted silently through the inky void of deep space, its sensors probing the darkness for signs of the unknown. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen. After months of uneventful exploration, the crew was growing restless. They'd volunteered for this mission hoping to make history, to be the first humans to encounter alien life. So far, all they found were dead worlds and empty systems. Another negative sweep, Captain, reported Lieutenant Rovi Mehta from his station at Ops. No signs of artificial signals or structures. Sarah sighed, running a hand through her short black hair. All right, prep for our jump to the next system. Maybe we'll have better luck there. As Ravi began the calculations for the faster-than-light jump, a sudden alarm blared through the bridge. Captain, called out Ensign Zoe Taylor, her voice tinged with excitement. I'm picking up an anomalous energy signature, bearing 047 Mark 198. On screen, Sarah ordered, her heart racing. The view screen flickered, zooming in on a distant point of light. As the image resolved, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. There, silhouetted against the star-studded backdrop, was an alien vessel. Its sleek, organic curves were unlike anything in the human fleet. Tendrils of light pulsed along its hull, giving it an almost living appearance. It's beautiful, whispered Dr. Elena Petrova, the ship's xenobiologist. She joined Sarah on the bridge as soon as the alarm sounded. And potentially dangerous, added Commander John Hawkins, Horizon's tactical officer. His hand hovered near the weapon's controls. We should raise shields, Captain. Sarah shook her head. Not yet. We don't want to appear hostile. She turned to communications. Ensign Garcia, broadcast our first contact package on all frequencies. As Garcia complied, the alien ship suddenly accelerated, closing the distance between them in seconds. Before anyone could react, a shimmering field of energy enveloped the horizon. We're caught in some kind of tractor beam, Ravi reported, his fingers dancing over his console. Our engines can't break free. Sarah gripped the arms of her chair, forcing herself to remain calm. This was the moment they'd all been waiting for, trained for. Stand down, she ordered. No aggressive actions. Let's see what they want. The alien vessel loomed larger in the view screen, dwarfing the horizon. As they drew closer, Sarah could make out strange, flowing script etched into its hull. The markings pulsed with an inner light, almost hypnotic in their beauty. Suddenly, a beam of pure white light lanced out from the alien ship, enveloping the bridge. Sarah tensed, expecting pain or disintegration. Instead, she felt a gentle warmth and a presence in her mind. We greet you, distant cousins, a voice echoed in her thoughts. Long have we searched for others who sail the cosmic seas. Sarah gasped, realizing the aliens were telepathic. She focused her thoughts, trying to respond. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship. Your thoughts betray your fear, the alien voice replied. It is understandable, but unnecessary. We mean you no harm. As the mental exchange continued, the white light coalesced, taking on a vaguely humanoid shape. It solidified further, revealing a being of breathtaking beauty. The alien stood nearly 7 feet tall, its body covered in iridescent scales that shimmered with every movement. Large, almond-shaped eyes regarded the crew with evident curiosity. I am Zara, the alien spoke aloud, its voice musical and soothing. Emissary of the Lumina, we welcome you to the greater galactic community. Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady despite her racing heart. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth ship Horizon. We're honored to make your acquaintance. Zara's head tilted, those mesmerizing eyes studying Sarah intently. Your species is young, but we sense great potential in you. Come, there is much to discuss. Before Sarah could respond, the white light engulfed her. She felt a moment of vertigo, then found herself standing in a vast, crystal chamber aboard the alien vessel. The rest of her senior staff appeared beside her, looking equally disoriented. "Forgive the abruptness," Zara said, gesturing around the chamber. "But time is short, and the fate of both our peoples hangs in the balance." Sarah exchanged glances with her crew, a mix of excitement and apprehension on their faces. Whatever came next, humanity's place in the universe had just been irrevocably changed. As Zara began to explain, Sarah realized that this first contact was only the beginning of an adventure beyond her wildest dreams. The crystal chamber hummed with an ethereal energy as Captain Sarah Chen and her crew faced the alien emissary Zara. The luminous iridescent scales shimmered in the soft light, creating an almost hypnotic effect. "Your arrival is fortuitous," Zara began, her melodic voice tinged with urgency. "We stand at a crossroads that will determine the fate of countless civilizations." Dr. Elena Petrova stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial shock. "What do you mean? What kind of crossroads?" Zara waved a hand, and the chamber walls came alive with holographic displays. Star systems, alien races, and complex data streams materialized around them. "For millennia, the Lumina have served as guardians of the galactic peace," Zara explained. "We've guided younger races, protected them from cosmic threats. But now, we face an enemy beyond our power to defeat alone." Commander John Hawkins frowned, his military training kicking in. What kind of enemy could threaten such an advanced civilization? Zara's large eyes dimmed slightly. "They are known as the Void Collective, a race of energy beings that consume entire worlds, assimilating all knowledge and technology they encounter. They've already decimated several sectors of the galaxy." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "And you think humanity can help? We're newcomers to interstellar travel. What could we possibly offer against such a threat?" A smile played across Zara's alien features. "Your very newness is your strength, Captain. The Void Collective has encountered and adapted to most known technologies and strategies. But your species, you're an unknown factor. Your creativity, your adaptability, these qualities make you uniquely suited to face this threat." Lieutenant Ravi Mehta, always the voice of caution, spoke up. "This is all fascinating, but how do we know we can trust you? This could be an elaborate deception." Zara nodded, unsurprised by the question. "Your skepticism is wise, Lieutenant. Allow me to share our histories, our cultures. Through the melding of minds, you will know the truth of our words and the urgency of our plight." Before anyone could object, tendrils of light extended from Zara's form, gently touching each crew member's forehead. In an instant, Sarah's mind was flooded with images, emotions, and knowledge spanning eons. She saw the rise of the Lumina, that evolution from aquatic creatures to masters of energy and thought. She felt their deep commitment to preserving life throughout the galaxy and the heavy burden of their self-appointed guardianship. But overshadowing it all was a creeping darkness, the Void Collective. Sarah witnessed worlds falling to the insatiable hunger of these energy beings, entire civilizations snuffed out in the blink of an eye. As the vision faded, Sarah stumbled, overwhelmed by the experience. Her crew looked equally shaken, but there was a new understanding in their eyes. "My God," Elena whispered. "The scale of it all, it's beyond anything we could have imagined." John nodded grimly. "And now we're caught in the middle of an intergalactic war. Perfect." Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself. "We didn't come all this way just to run from a challenge. If there's a chance we can make a difference, we have to try." Zara's eyes gleamed with approval. "Your courage does you credit, Captain. But before we can face the Void Collective, we must prepare. There is much for our peoples to learn from each other." Over the next few days, the crew of the Horizon immersed themselves in a crash course of galactic culture and advanced technology. The Lumina shared centuries of scientific knowledge, while the humans offered fresh perspectives and innovative approaches to problem-solving. Elena worked tirelessly with Lumina biologists, exploring the potential for combining human and alien physiologies to create enhanced abilities. Ravi collaborated with their engineers, integrating lunar energy manipulation techniques with human computer systems. John, ever the tactician, spent hours in virtual simulations, learning to combat the Void Collective's strange, physics-defying attacks. And Sarah found herself in deep discussions with Zara and other Lumina leaders, strategizing on how to unite the various galactic factions against the common threat. As the cultural exchange progressed, Sarah noticed an unexpected development. Many of the Lumina, Zara included, seemed particularly drawn to the human crew. There was a fascination, an almost magnetic attraction that went beyond mere scientific curiosity. Your species possesses a vibrancy, a life force that we find intoxicating, Zara admitted one evening, her scales flushing with a deeper hue. It has been ages since the Lumina encountered a race so full of potential, so compatible with our own. Sarah raised an eyebrow, sensing there was more to this admission than mere flattery. Compatible? In what way? The Lumina vessel shuddered as the first wave of Void Collective attacks struck its energy shields. Captain Sarah Chen raced to the command center, her mind racing with strategies and contingencies. As she entered, she was greeted by a cacophony of alien and human voices, all working in frantic unison. Zara stood at the center of the chaos, her iridescent form pulsing with barely contained energy. The Void Collective's main force is still minutes away, she announced. These are merely scout ships, testing our defenses. Sarah nodded grimly. Then let's make sure they don't like what they find. Commander Hawkins, what's our tactical situation? John's fingers danced over a holographic display, coordinating with both Horizon and Lumina defensive systems. We've got a mix of human and Lumina weapons online. The integration's not perfect, but it's better than either system alone. Good, Sarah replied. Ravi, how are our new sensor enhancements holding up? Lieutenant Meta's voice came through a comm channel, tinged with excitement despite the dire situation. Better than we hoped, Captain. We're tracking void energy signatures with 93% accuracy. They can't hide from us anymore. A small victory, but Sarah would take it. Dr. Petrova, status on the bioenhancement project. Elena's hologram flickered to life nearby, her eyes bright with a mix of scientific thrill and trepidation. We've successfully merged Lumina energy manipulation abilities with human DNA. Volunteers are already showing increased psychic sensitivity and improved healing rates. But Sarah, the process is irreversible. Anyone who undergoes the procedure will be permanently changed. The weight of command settled heavily on Sarah's shoulders. She was about to ask her crew, her friends, to alter the very essence of their humanity. But faced with the alternative of cosmic annihilation, did they really have a choice? Understood, Doctor. Prepare as many doses as you can. Participation will be strictly voluntary, but... She paused, steeling herself. I'll be the first in line. Zara's large eyes widened in surprise. Captain, are you certain? The risks are nothing compared to what we're facing, Sarah finished. She turned to address the entire command center. Listen up, everyone. In a few minutes, we're going to face an enemy that has decimated entire civilizations. They think they've seen it all, but they can predict and counter any strategy we throw at them. But they've never encountered humanity before. She paced the room, making eye contact with humans and Lumina alike. We're adaptable. We're innovative. And most importantly, we don't know when to quit. So let's show these void bastards what happens when you back humanity into a corner. A cheer went up from the assembled crews, a moment of unity before the storm. As Sarah made her way to Elena's makeshift lab for the enhancement procedure, Zara fell into step beside her. Your words have inspired both our peoples, the Lumina emissary said softly. But there's something else you should know before you undergo this change. Sarah raised an eyebrow. More revelations. I'm not sure how many more surprises I can take today. Zara's scales shifted, displaying an array of colors that Sarah had learned to interpret as embarrassment. The bioenhancement, it doesn't just merge our abilities. It creates a deep, potentially permanent bond between Lumina and human, a bond that could lead to offspring. Sarah nearly stumbled mid-stride. Offspring, you mean? Yes, Zara confirmed. The children would be hybrids, sharing traits of both species. It's our best hope for saving the lunar race from extinction. But more than that, it could be the key to defeating the Void Collective. Before Sarah could fully process this bombshell, they arrived at Elena's lab. The doctor was waiting, a vial of shimmering liquid in her hand. "Are you ready, Captain?" Sarah took a deep breath, locking eyes with Zara. In that moment, she saw not just an alien ally, but a potential future, one filled with hope, challenge, and a union beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed of. "I'm ready," Sarah said, her voice steady. "Let's change the course of history." The procedure was quick but intense. Sarah felt liquid fire course through her veins as the hybrid DNA rewrote her genetic code. Her senses exploded, the world around her coming into sharper focus than she'd ever experienced. And there, at the edge of her consciousness, she felt them, the Lumina, their thoughts and emotions brushing against her mind like a cosmic ocean. As Sarah adjusted to her new reality, the ship rocked with another, stronger impact. The Void Collective's main force had arrived. The vastness of space erupted into a kaleidoscope of destructive energy as the combined human-Lumina fleet engaged the Void Collective. Captain Sarah Chen, her body still adjusting to the hybrid DNA coursing through her veins, stood at the command center's helm. Her heightened senses allowed her to perceive the battle on multiple levels: tactical readouts, psychic impressions from the Lumina, and a new, almost instinctual understanding of the energy flows surrounding them. Void ships approaching on Vector 227. Lieutenant Ravi Mehta's voice cut through the chaos. "They're using some kind of phase shift technology to bypass our primary shields." Sarah's mind raced, combining her years of tactical training with the new insights granted by her transformation. "Zara, can we use the luminous psychic network to predict their phase shifts?" The alien emissary nodded, her iridescent scales flickering with concentration. "Yes, but we'll need more power to extend the network's range." "Do it," Sarah commanded. She tapped her comm badge. "Engineering, reroute all non-essential power to the psychic amplifiers. We're going to give our weapons a precognitive edge." As the order was carried out, Sarah felt the ship's energy flow shift, the psychic network expanding like a web across the battlefield. Suddenly, she could sense the Void ship's movements seconds before they happened. "All gunners, synchronize your targeting systems with the psychic feed," she ordered. "Fire as soon as you get a lock. Don't wait for visual confirmation." The results were immediate and devastating. Lunar energy lances and human photon torpedoes struck the Void ships just as they phased back into normal space, catching them at their most vulnerable. Explosions blossomed in the void, silent but brilliant. Commander John Hawkins let out a whoop of triumph. "It's working. We've taken out a third of their vanguard." But Sarah knew better than to celebrate too early. The Void Collective was ancient and adaptable. They wouldn't fall for the same trick twice. As if on cue, a massive energy surge erupted from the heart of the Void fleet. A swirling vortex of dark matter formed, threatening to swallow nearby ships whole. "Gravitic weapon," Zara cried out, her normally melodic voice tinged with fear. "It will tear us apart at the molecular level." Sarah's enhanced mind worked overtime, processing tactical data and luminous scientific knowledge. An idea formed, wild and desperate. "Ravi, can we invert the warp field and channel it through the deflector dish?" she asked. The lieutenant's eyes widened as he caught on to her plan. "It's never been done before, but theoretically, yes. It would create a localized space-time distortion." "Do it," Sarah ordered. "And Zara, I need every Lumina to focus their psychic energy on that point in space. We're going to give the Void a taste of their own medicine." As Ravi worked furiously at his console, Sarah felt the collective will of the Lumina flow through her. It was overwhelming, exhilarating, and terrifying all at once. She added her own mental focus to the mix, visualizing the fabric of space twisting to their command. The ship groaned as the warp field inverted, pouring impossible amounts of energy into the deflector dish. A beam of pure spatiotemporal distortion lanced out, meeting the void's gravitic vortex head-on. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent flash that seemed to bend light itself, a tear in reality formed. The void weapon, along with a significant portion of their fleet, was sucked into the rift before it collapsed in on itself. A stunned silence fell over the command center, broken only by the beeping of consoles and the heavy breathing of the crew. Did we just create a localized black hole? Elena asked, her voice a mix of awe and scientific excitement. More like a temporary aperture in the space-time continuum, Ravi replied, his fingers still dancing over his console. But effectively, yes. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Well done, everyone. But this battle is far from over. The void will regroup, and we need to be ready for their countermove. As if summoned by her words, a massive ship emerged from the depths of the void fleet. It dwarfed everything else on the battlefield, its surface roiling with dark energy. By the cosmic tides, Zora whispered, it's the void overmind, their central intelligence and most powerful weapon. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. This was it, the final confrontation. Everything they'd fought for, all the sacrifices made, it all came down to this moment. All ships, form up on our position, she commanded, her voice carrying across the entire fleet thanks to her enhanced abilities. This is humanity's stand, not just for ourselves, but for every race threatened by the void. We may be outnumbered, we may be outgunned, but we will not go quietly into the night. As the Allied fleet maneuvered into position, Sarah exchanged a look with Zara. There was fear there, yes, but also determination, hope, and something else. A connection that went beyond mere allies or even friends. Whatever happens, Sarah said softly, I'm glad we faced this together. Zara's scales shimmered with emotion. As am I, Sarah. You've shown us that even in the darkest hour, there's always hope. With a shared nod of understanding, they turned their attention back to the looming threat. The void overmind filled the view screen, a harbinger of destruction on an unimaginable scale. But as Sarah looked around at her crew, human and Lumina working in perfect harmony, she knew they had a fighting chance. Humanity's ingenuity combined with Lumina wisdom and technology, it was a force the void had never encountered before. All hands, Sarah called out, her voice steady and resolute. Prepare for final engagement. History will remember this day. The Allied fleet surged forward, a desperate charge against the encroaching darkness. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance as two diametrically opposed forces clashed in the void of space. The final battle had begun. The void of space erupted into a maelstrom of energy as the Allied fleet engaged the void overmind. Captain Sarah Chen felt the psychic network pulse with determination and fear in equal measure. The massive void vessel loomed before them, a roiling mass of dark energy that seemed to devour light itself. All ships, initiate attack pattern Omega. Sarah's voice rang out, amplified by her newly enhanced abilities. Concentrate fire on the coordinates Zora is transmitting. A barrage of energy weapons and missiles streaked towards the overmind, only to be swallowed by its impenetrable defenses. Sarah gritted her teeth, frustration mounting. No effect, Captain, reported Commander Hawkins, his voice tense. Their shields are adapting faster than we can adjust our weapons. Zara's iridescent form shimmered with concern. The overmind is more powerful than we anticipated. It's drawing energy directly from subspace. As if to emphasize her point, tendrils of dark energy lashed out from the void vessel, ensnaring several Allied ships. Sarah watched in horror as they were crushed like tin cans, their crew's agonized psychic screams echoing through the network before being abruptly silenced. We need a new strategy, Sarah muttered, her enhanced mind racing through possibilities. Ravi, what if we use the warp cores to create a feedback loop in subspace? Disrupt their energy source? The lieutenant's eyes widened. It's possible, but we'd be flying blind. One miscalculation and we could tear a hole in the fabric of space-time. Better that than letting the void consume everything, Sarah replied grimly. Begin calculations. Elena, I need you to. Her orders were cut short as a massive energy pulse rocked the ship. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks, and Sarah was thrown to the ground. As she struggled to her feet, she saw John slumped over his station, a nasty gash on his forehead. Medical team to the bridge, she shouted, rushing to his side. But even as she checked his pulse, she knew. Commander John Hawkins, her friend and trusted officer, was gone. A wave of grief threatened to overwhelm her, amplified by the psychic network. But Sarah forced it down, channeling her pain into determination. She wouldn't let John's sacrifice be in vain. Zara, she called out, her voice hoarse. Can the Lumina focus their psychic energy to create a shield around the fleet? Buy us time to implement Ravi's plan. The alien emissary nodded, her large eyes filled with sorrow and resolve. We can, but it will leave us vulnerable. The strain could kill many of us. Sarah met her gaze, understanding the weight of what she was asking. I know, but it's our only chance. As Zara began coordinating the Lumina's efforts, Sarah felt the psychic shield forming around the fleet. It was like a warm blanket of protection, woven from the very essence of their alien allies. Ravi, status on the warp core modifications, she asked, moving to the engineering station. Almost there, Captain, he replied, fingers flying over the controls. But we'll only get one shot at this. If it fails. It won't, Sarah said with more confidence than she felt. Humanity didn't come this far to fail now. As the final preparations were made, Sarah opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Captain Chen. In a few moments, we're going to attempt something never before seen in the history of space combat. The risks are enormous, but the stakes are even higher. No matter what happens, know that your courage and sacrifice have given the galaxy a fighting chance. She paused, feeling the weight of countless lives, human and alien, resting on her next words. When I give the signal, all ships are to divert maximum power to their warp cores and direct the energy at the coordinates I'm transmitting. Together, we'll create a subspace rift that will cut off the void overmind from its power source. As acknowledgements flooded in, Sarah turned to Zara. The luminous form was flickering, the strain of maintaining the psychic shield evident. Zara, Sarah began, but the alien cut her off with a gentle touch. I know, Zara said softly. Whatever happens, Sarah, know that meeting humanity, meeting you, has given the Lumina hope for the future. Their eyes locked, volumes of unspoken emotion passing between them in that brief moment. Then Sarah steeled herself, turning back to the view screen where the void overmind loomed. All ships, she commanded, her voice unwavering. On my mark, now. The combined energy of dozens of warp cores lanced out, converging on a single point in space. For a heartbeat, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent flash that seemed to bend reality itself, a rift tore open in the fabric of subspace. The effect on the void overmind was immediate and catastrophic. Cut off from its energy source, the massive vessel began to collapse in on itself, dark tendrils flailing wildly. It's working, Ravi shouted, his voice barely audible over the groaning of their own ship's stressed systems. But their victory was far from assured. As the overmind thrashed in its death throes, it lashed out with the last of its terrible power. Energy beams of impossible intensity swept across the battlefield, annihilating allied and void ships alike. Sarah watched in horror as the carnage unfolded, feeling each loss through the psychic network. The luminous shield was faltering, their strength nearly spent. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, a new sensation flooded the network. It was warm, comforting, and undeniably powerful. Sarah gasped as she realized what it was: the combined life force of every Lumina, freely given in one final, desperate gambit. "What are they doing?" Elena asked, her voice filled with awe. Zara, her form now barely corporeal, smiled sadly. "Ensuring a future for both our peoples." Before Sarah could respond, the luminous energy surged outward, enveloping the Allied fleet in a cocoon of pure life force. It absorbed the void's final assault, burning away the darkness with searing light. When the brilliance faded, Sarah blinked in disbelief at the sight before her. The void overmind was gone, reduced to scattered atoms. But the cost? "Zara," Sarah called out, her voice breaking. But where the Lumen emissary had stood, there was only empty space. As the realization of their victory, and its terrible price, sank in, Sarah felt a new sensation stirring within her. It was the unmistakable spark of new life, a legacy of her bond with Zara and the Lumina. Humanity had survived, but the universe would never be the same. The aftermath of the battle hung in the air like a bittersweet fog as the remnants of the Allied fleet limped back to the nearest habitable system. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the horizon, her hand unconsciously resting on her abdomen where new life grew, a symbol of hope amidst the devastation. As the ship docked at a hastily constructed space station, Sarah was struck by the strange mix of jubilation and sorrow that permeated the air. They had won, yes, but at a cost that was still being tallied. "Captain," Ravi's voice broke through her reverie. "The Allied leaders are requesting your presence for an emergency council meeting." Sarah nodded, squaring her shoulders. The real work was just beginning. The council chamber was a cacophony of voices and emotions when Sarah entered. Representatives from a dozen species argued in a mix of languages, their fear and uncertainty palpable. As Sarah took her seat, a hush fell over the room. An elderly Arcturian, his tentacles quivering with age, spoke first. "Captain Chen, you led us to victory against an enemy we thought undefeatable. But now, what becomes of us? The Lumen are gone, and with them, the stability they brought to the galaxy." Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of expectation on her shoulders. "The Luna may be gone," she began, her voice steady, "but their legacy lives on. Not just in the hybrid children that some of us now carry, but in the unity they helped forge between our peoples." She stood, addressing the entire council. "We face an unprecedented opportunity. The old galactic order has crumbled, yes, but from its ashes, we can build something new, something better." A murmur rippled through the crowd. A Syrian diplomat leaned forward, her feathered crest bristling. "And who would lead this new order? Humanity, your newcomers to the galactic stage." "Not lead," Sarah corrected. "Facilitate. Humanity's strength lies in our adaptability, our ability to bring diverse ideas together. We propose a galactic federation where all species have an equal voice." The council erupted into debate. Sarah watched as alliances formed and shifted, ideas were proposed and discarded. It was messy, chaotic, and beautifully human in its imperfection. As the discussions raged on, Dr. Elena Petrova approached Sarah, her eyes alight with excitement. "Captain, I've been analyzing the data from our hybrid transformations. The possibilities are, well, they're beyond anything we could have imagined." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "The Lumina DNA doesn't just grant us their abilities," Elena explained. "It's evolving, adapting in ways we never predicted. Given time, we might be able to unlock powers that rival even the Void Collective." The implications were staggering. Sarah's mind raced with the potential benefits and dangers of such power. "We'll need to proceed carefully," she said. "Establish ethical guidelines, ensure this knowledge is used for the benefit of all." Elena nodded in agreement. "Of course. But Sarah, this could be the key to protecting the galaxy from future threats. We could become the guardians the Lumina always strive to be." As the council meeting drew to a close, a tentative agreement had been reached. The Galactic Federation would be formed, with Earth serving as a neutral ground for interspecies cooperation and diplomacy. Sarah stood at a large viewport, gazing out at the stars. So much had changed in so little time. Humanity had gone from a species confined to their solar system to a linchpin of galactic politics. And she, Sarah Chen, was at the center of it all. She felt a flutter in her abdomen, her child, Zora's child, stirring. A living bridge between two species, and a promise for the future. "Captain," Ravi's voice came from behind her. "The Horizon is ready for departure. The Council has requested we lead a diplomatic mission to the outer territories. There are still void remnants to deal with, and many species who haven't heard of the Collective's defeat." Sarah turned, a small smile on her face. "Well then, Mr. Meta, let's not keep the galaxy waiting. Set a course for the unknown." As the Horizon broke orbit, its hull now bearing the emblem of the newly formed Galactic Federation, Sarah felt a surge of anticipation. The battle against the void had been won, but the true adventure was just beginning. Humanity's place in the cosmos had been forever altered. They were no longer just explorers, but guardians, diplomats, and the caretakers of a legacy that spanned millennia. The challenges ahead were daunting, but Sarah knew that together, humans, hybrids, and aliens alike, they could face anything the universe threw at them. As the stars streaked by, heralding their jump to warp speed, Sarah placed her hand on her abdomen once more. In this new life growing within her, she saw the promise of a future where the boundaries between species blurred, where the combined strengths of humanity and their alien allies would forge a path to the stars. The Horizon surged forward, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of countless worlds. And in the vastness of space, a new era dawned, one of unity, discovery, and limitless possibility.